Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the DisplayLine podcast. I'm your host, Ollie.
And I'm your other host, Joey.
And today we're going to be taking you through all the recent news, including space, weather, aviation generic news, and war news. We are then going to move on to our sort of new topic of just the podcast and asking sort of each other's goals. And we're going to finally end off with recent display announcements from Hampshire, and Little Gransden. So, Joey, do you want to take us through our once again humongous aviation war news segment?
Yeah, so once again, there is no war news, at least that we have found just through TikTok, Twitter, and all that. There will be some. I know that the Ukraine-Russia war has been ever advancing once again, but I have not personally seen much on my feed about any wars recently. So we'll move quickly onto the weather segment with tornadoes in Turkey, which is not fairly common, but it happens several times per year as they get some storms in from all the different weather patterns and stuff. There was also, I don't want to say tornadoes, but it was more like dust tornadoes or dust devils, but twin dust devils in Mexico. And one of them looked relatively strong. This thing was very densely packed with dust that it had ripped up from the ground, which you don't see very often. A lot of dust devils are very fine and very uh, transparent in that there's not that much dust in them. But this thing, if we can find a video of it or picture of it, it was very dense and very dark coloured, which just isn't very common in dust devils. But um, it happens somewhat often in these warmer, dry climates like Mexico, like the deserts in America and stuff like that. So it's been an interesting week for weather in terms of tornadoes. I know that Ollie has his own sort of experience with the UK weather at the minute that you want to go through.
Yeah, so once again, I've had a very brilliant week for UK weather. So, um, basically, for about a week from, I believe, the 12th of May or the 13th, the whole of the UK has basically been put in like a large thunderstorm watch, which is like, thunderstorms are possible, but they may not happen everywhere and they may not be very long lasting. But yeah, literally about 3 hours ago was it, Joey? I'd say had
Yeah,
started having
something like that.
thunderstorms. Yeah, I started having thunderstorms over my house, and about half an hour into watching these thunderstorms, I came back to Joey with a video of a rotation over my house. Now, it wasn't a significant rotation. It wasn't something that I thought was going to develop even into a funnel. But I thought, I might as well get a video of this, which I put up on the screen now that Joey has actually kindly sped up. And you can sort of see the clouds just rotating in a circle. You can see them very slowly, just going round and round and round. So it's nothing major, but it is something that was very cool to like video. And I said to Joey, and I might have said it on the podcast as well, that I had seen a rotation before, and it was exactly like the one that I'd just seen go over my house. So that's the second rotation I've ever seen. I know, Joe, you've seen a few funnels in your lifetime and stuff, but yeah, it's pretty cool from last week when I got hit by a gust tornado to this week then seeing an actual rotation.
Yeah, I would love to see like a full-on tornado one day. I know you've seen water spouts, I'm pretty sure, but that happens living on the south coast.
Yeah,
You know, all the different weather patterns mixing around the English Channel, and that's where most of the thunderstorms have been. Especially um, southeast England has had a few funnels spotted as well, like Brighton. I saw a
yeah.
picture of a water spout from Brighton, which you see throughout the year every so often, because that is sort of the UK tornado
Hotspot,
alley
yeah.
sort of area, yeah. But it's mostly water spouts that you get in South England like that, but thunderstorms also in the Midlands as well. So I had some pretty bad weather today as well. I was trying to escape a rainstorm in a car, and I didn't escape it. It was some of the heaviest rain I've seen this year, but no thunderstorms for me, unfortunately. But moving on to some more weather segments, you want to take us through the next bit?
Yeah, so there's been large storms in India recently over the last few days, and videos have emerged of a man's house being ripped up while he's like holding onto it, and he literally goes flying through the air. So just a big gust of wind has picked up his entire house. I think it was made of like metal or something. It wasn't very stable in the first place, and he gets thrown across sort of like the camera in slow motion. We are still debating whether to put the video up, as he is pretty uninjured. He ended up with possibly a sprained wrist, so nothing too bad. He only went, five or so feet in the air. It's definitely nothing like too severe or anything, but it's just a bit of a strange video. It's not something that I've ever seen. Just a man's house being ripped up and then being launched across, sort of like the empty field that it was in. So yeah, it's very strange. But yeah, India and like Pakistan and all that have been having quite severe thunderstorms recently, and I guess that's what happens when you live in such a hot and like humid part of the world. Larger and stronger storms can form, which is basically why America gets a lot of tornadoes, because you have the hot Gulf air that comes from the south mixing with sort of the cold air from like Alaska and like Canada, which basically just mixes together, which is why the like sort of middle, like Oklahoma, Texas, and like Illinois and all that sort of line there get such strong and intense tornadoes, because that's in like basically the dead line of where those two cold and hot fronts meet.
Yeah, and it is important to note that while the guy in the video, if we do play it, is okay, some people in India are not, and the death toll is for these storms. It's been very, very windy, like destructive winds, as we mentioned. The guy's like roof got ripped off. Um, but not everyone was as lucky, and the death tolls that we are seeing is varying from 40 to 79 people. One person even saying 80 to 90 people. But that will be refined over the course of the next week or so. So by next episode, we might have a more accurate number on that. But um, if we do put the video up, it is definitely the most unique video I've seen of wind like that. But um, luckily, it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, the death toll from storms and stuff is actually rising quite quickly this year. We've had already three EF4 tornadoes in America. I think it's three, from recent tornadoes and stuff like that. And luckily, not many people have been harmed. Like in Enid, I think only two people were injured. But there, even like in smaller tornadoes, a lot of people have been injured or unfortunately killed. And it's not only in America, like you said, in India, you've got some of these storms, some severe storms. And because India isn't really as built up as America, or like the buildings aren't such a high quality as America. Unfortunately, these things do happen, and houses get flattened by just strong winds rather than tornadoes themselves. So yeah, it's been a very bad year for storms so far. So me and Joey both hope that it improves. But I mean, the UK storms are always awesome to see. They're never harmful in any way, really, and you always get to see some good thunder and lightning with that. So we're hoping for some more UK storms, but we're hoping that the US and all that, as sort of area, Mexico, US, and then you have like India as well. I hope that stuff all calms down.
Yeah, actually, speaking of, unfortunately, there is a possible tornado outbreak this weekend. That actually, the weekend that this video goes out uh, is when the sort of outbreak peaks in intensity. It'll peak on Sunday and then Monday as well, which this will go up on Sunday. So hopefully nothing bad happens on that outbreak. I'd touch in wood here. Hopefully nothing happens. But we will be watching it. We'll probably be in a call watching Ryan Hall, your Max Velocity or something, watching it, keeping an eye on it, making sure whatever happens, we can say it here.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely not the first people to talk about it, obviously, as we only upload once a week. But we do upload promos, and if there is anything significant, we'll make sure to put that on the Monday or the Tuesday. Usually we keep weather until Wednesday or Friday, depending on what's really happened. But if there is some intense weather news that we do want to get out there, we will be posting that on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, and now moving on from the weather segment, because I feel like it's been quite a long weather segment for not much has actually happened. But moving on to space news, which is my personal favorite segment, we did have Starship Booster 19 and Ship 39 wet dress rehearsal, which is just where you do pretty much everything except actually light the engines. You fuel up the rockets, you uh, fire the water deluge system, which is just where it sprays water where the engines would be firing, so you don't make a 15-meter wide crater in the floor, which they did on their first ever launch, because they didn't think they'd need a water deluge system. Now, this didn't go perfectly. We saw after that it happened, it was a couple of days ago, as like maybe even a week ago by the time this goes out. But it didn't go perfectly because we saw after it happened, they lifted the ship off of the booster, moved it out of the way, and then had to replace one of the fuel vents on the tower. Um, and now they are possibly transporting the ship to the test facility, which is not exactly close. It'd take like quite a long time to transport it in the realm of many, many hours, if not days, to transport this massive ship. Um, but they have moved the launch date now to May 19th, which is 2 days after this goes out. So hopefully one of the promos for next episode will be about this rocket launching. But
Who
I've seen
knows? I mean,
some
it's been
people saying
delayed
that,
like
yeah,
3 or 4 times already, so it wouldn't surprise me if it gets delayed again. But like I've said multiple times with space stuff, you would rather be safe than sorry because at the end of the day, even though there might not be human lives at risk every time you launch a rocket, there is always that huge cost that can set. Obviously, it's not going to set like SpaceX or anything back, but it can cost the economy of the country quite a lot. I mean, a lot of especially NASA and stuff. A lot of that is taxpayers' money, if not all of the cost to build the rocket is taxpayers' money. And you'd rather not, you'd rather delay that and see the mission be successful rather than wasting like upwards of 300 million US dollars on just an explosion that doesn't even make it into space with the added risk of human lives.
yeah, that's what sort of sets SpaceX apart in that it's entirely privately funded. And by entirely privately funded, I mean it's funded by SpaceX themselves, which, while yes, they get some of their money from NASA contracts, it's not like they get that money for free. They
Yeah,
launch satellites for NASA. They launch payload for NASA. They even do all of the almost all of the International Space Station resupply missions and crewed missions. So while that's taxpayer funded, it's not like SpaceX Starship is taxpayer funded. Starlink, which SpaceX launch, is a net profit, which is basically entirely funding Starship. So it's not like taxpayers are losing out, but what does happen when if a starship blows up is the 18,000 individual heat shield tiles that are supposed to survive re-entry do survive re-entry, and since they're not all attached to the same thing anymore, that's 18,000 individual pieces of debris landing in the ocean, which then wash up on beaches, or they're not quite small enough to get digested by fish, but it's not something you want to see. So they have to be very safe and they have to get as much approval
yeah.
and safety as they can. But that isn't the only bit of space news we have. It's certainly my favourite bit of the space news this week, as I follow Starship quite intensely. I have the mission patch for Flight 5. But there was also a rocket fuel dump spotted um, from I believe it was a Chinese rocket. Weirdly enough, it was exactly the same time as last year when another one was spotted, exactly the same time and in the same area. So it seems that China's doing launches at exactly the same time each year of the same rocket. But it looks incredible. It was just at the right time of the night or evening, I guess, where it's dark enough on the ground that your cameras can sort of adjust to stars in the sky, but bright enough up there in low Earth orbit that all of the fuel being vented gets illuminated and you just get this big white streak across the sky. Um, it's most often referred to as a SpaceX jellyfish because most often than not, if you see it, it's probably from a SpaceX launch because they launch several times a week. It's been just nicknamed the SpaceX jellyfish, but this was quite a spectacular fuel dump that people got videos of. So it's not something you see all the time. It's not something that I personally seen. I could have seen it. There's been several fuel dumps that have moved past the UK that I just missed because there's no real schedule for that. But it's just a spectacular video.
I mean, yeah, the video does look really cool, and we'll probably put an image up on the screen of or from the video right now. But we do need to move on to the main news segment, and the biggest sort of aviation news that's been going around is a man that got sucked into a Frontier Airlines plane engine. That's been all over the news recently, all over mine and Joey's different news pages. So I've seen it multiple, like upwards of 10 videos on TikTok, and I'm sure Joey's seen loads on X as well. So yeah, it's probably the biggest piece of news this week. And Joey, you said that it's been dubbed like a suicide, I believe it was. So
Yeah.
you mean from the video, he's just standing on the runway. I mean, he's not even running across it. He is stood there, sort of watching the plane come towards him. So yeah, it does look pretty suicidal, unfortunately, and it's not something that you want to see either. Because it's just a horrible thing to see. Is CCTV footage has been released of the incident, which we're not going to show for obvious reasons. But yeah, you can literally see him being sucked straight into the engine. It is really not something that you want to see.
Yeah, the report states that he had to climb an 8-foot tall fence to get onto the property. And then in the video, you can see him, just as the video starts, you can see him running into the center of the runway, which is what makes them suspect that it's intentional because he could see a plane coming and then stopped in the middle of the runway, which you wouldn't do if you weren't trying to do that. You can see a plane coming towards you, you see the lights getting brighter and brighter. This was at nighttime, which is why, if you do have seen the video, is which is why it's in thermal imaging, which I guess was just better for anyone who saw the video because it's slightly less graphic in that
Yeah.
it's in night vision. But yeah, it's just not something we want to see, and it's not great for anyone to see, to be honest.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, it's the biggest piece of news that everyone's had this week, and I've seen it over multiple news sources. So yeah, it's definitely something that you ever want to see, and it's probably, I mean, it's probably the fastest way you can ever go out, being sucked into a jet engine. So I mean, fair enough to him, but it's still not something that anyone wants to see. Not only because it puts his life, well, it will put his life at death, but it also puts the life of everyone on that aircraft at risk, especially if that aircraft is past sort of V1 and rotating speed, and that needs to take off. Otherwise, it's going to crash, and everyone on board could be injured, significantly harmed, or even die just because of his actions.
Yeah, it is important to note that at least from what I've heard, the plane was, well, I don't want to say the plane was fine because one of the engines wasn't, but everyone on board the plane was fine, which is very lucky. If he'd have been at a different spot on the runway, like you said, past V1, that could have gone very differently. But moving on to a more lighter bit of aviation news is that a dash cam captured the moment a Cessna A150L narrowly avoided colliding with a car on US 60 near in Arizona. Now, this video is one of the more insane videos I've seen of anything like this happening. Like the plane landed on the road, and because it was turning at the time, the wing lifted up on the right side, and that went over a car. And chances are that if it wasn't turning like that and didn't sort of one wheel on one of the wheels and tilt over to the side slightly, it probably would have collided with that car. But the dashcam video is from in said car, and you can just sort of see how close. When I first saw the video, I thought it was going to hit the car, but luckily it didn't, and everyone was okay. This happened near Superior, Arizona. They're very creative with their names in America, but yeah, this is just a very, very crazy video.
I mean, yeah, it's incredibly bizarre, and I mean, I'm glad everyone's okay. And the road looked pretty empty to me. It looked like there wasn't many cars around him. So yeah, I mean, landing into traffic isn't the best thing to do, but then again, we couldn't actually see the other side of the road, so the other side of the road might have been a lot busier, and it might have been the safest option for him to do. But yeah, some insane footage, and some of the clearest footage we've ever got of, planes landing on highways, as they call it in America, and interstates and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it's incredibly strange, but at least everyone's okay. And I mean, I'm sure the FAA will be investigating why that has happened. And to me, it's probably some sort of flight control or engine failure.
Yeah, now moving on to another crash landing is a US Air Force T-38 that crashed during a training exercise. I know you have a bit more information on that.
Yeah, so it was in Alabama, how do you say it? I don't know how you say it in an American Alabama.
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 Yeah, so it took off from Columbus Airport in Alabama, and it was descending for quite a long time. Upwards of a few minutes, which is quite a long time in aviation if you're descending. And there is actually video out there of the two pilots in the parachutes, and they're completely fine. Luckily, they were taken to a hospital just for sort of just checking that they are okay, and just precautionary measures rather than that they were actually injured. So yeah, the aircraft took off from Columbus, Alabama, before circling for quite a while. I assume they were doing some sort of operation, and then it started descending and just spiraling down to the ground. So yeah, the aircraft obviously was lost, and it will not be flown ever again. But at least the pilots are okay, which is the main thing we have in aviation news: is the pilots being okay, because you can always replace an aircraft, but you can never replace a human life. So yeah, it's great to see there is a video confirming the pilots are okay, and yeah, it's one of the best aviation news we have this week because, I mean, other than the Cessna, there's been quite a lot of crashes within the last week.
Yeah, and it is important to note that the likely reason they were taken to look at them medically is because when you eject, you're pulling upwards of 10 plus Gs, maybe even sometimes up to 15. And while it's only for a short duration, sometimes it causes spinal injuries. But it seems like that didn't happen in this instance, and everyone was okay.
Yeah, and sort of depending on the aircraft as well, especially older aircraft, some of the like parachutes aren't as good. So obviously you hit the ground of upwards of 10, 20 mile an hour, which is a sudden shock that just goes into your spine, and then obviously you can become paralyzed from that as well. So yeah, they were just making sure that they were all right, and that they hadn't broken anything, or if they needed any medical attention. But Joey, you've got some news about a Turkish Airlines crash landing.
Yeah, so there was a Turkish Airlines Airbus A330 that landed at Kathmandu Airport, I believe is how you pronounce it, and it had to be evacuated after smoke was seen coming out of the landing gear whilst it was taxiing. So they had to evacuate it using the emergency exits. Everyone was okay, and on initial inspections, the sort of cause of it was determined to be a malfunction. I think is how they called it, a technical malfunction in a hydraulic pipe, which is quite some technical malfunction if the landing gear starts smoking. And um, it's believed that it was caused during the landing. Maybe it was possibly a rough landing. There's not a whole lot of information on it other than videos of the passengers after they had gone down the slide, which, just on a side note, is something that I would love to do. Obviously, you don't want to be in that situation,
Yeah.
but those slides do look relatively fun. I know the situation you're in probably isn't, but if they ever did like an experience where you could go down it, I'd love to go down it. But that's on a bit of a tangent. But you have the last bit of news for us.
Yeah, so we spoke in February or March about the Bolivian C-130 crash. You may remember it. We did put a picture up on the screen, and we did speak about it in quite a lot of detail. There has been now a sort of full report that's come out, and the people who made the report of there's videos basically of the C-130 coming in at it's like way too fast. I mean, so fast that they're not like that, which so you obviously would normally come into land like that. No, they're like that. Their nose wheel touches the floor first, and you can see. We'll put pictures up or the video up itself of it going down the runway. Honestly, it's going way too fast. And instead of the pilots going around, they just kept on going, which is why it ended up at the end of the runway, split in half and killing many people. And the pilots have now been arrested. So the pilots have now been arrested on charges of reckless, flying and endangerment of human life, because obviously they did kill many people, unfortunately. So yeah, it's honestly terrible. You honestly no one knew what had happened until this video had come out, and you can see it just going like double, if not triple, the speed of the landing speed of the Hercules.
Yeah, and something about most planes is that they warn you of overspeed, and I don't doubt that the C-130 is no different. So they will have known. Well, I mean, they're professionals. They would have known anyway that they're going way too quick. So unless maybe the throttle got stuck, but I don't want to make theories or anything, they would have done their own investigation on this. But that is the only possible scenario is if the throttle got stuck. But there is ways around that. Like they have protocol for
Yeah.
things like that. like turn the engine off. Um, but it seems that it was intentional based on what I saw. Um, Hence why they would have been arrested for this.
Yeah, so it's very unfortunate, and the amount of human lives that got cost because of the reckless endangerment is very unfortunate. It's not something that we ever want to see. But we are going to move on to the main sort of subject of the podcast of this week, which is sort of explaining the podcast in a bit more detail. So, um, yeah, let's just go straight into it. So, me and Joey have been discussing over the last few weeks on how to structure the podcast and how to put it into sort of seasons and separate sort of things. So, what we've come up with is so the first season that we started in is sort of a warm up season or a training season. So, that's when all the aircraft, like the Red Arrows and all the display teams, and literally every aircraft will be doing their, PDA and their winter training. So, we've basically split it up into three. So we've got training season. This is season two. This is the episode that we season two, which is the display season. So last weekend, Shuttleworth season premiere had their first air show. So we thought this week would be a great sort of season opener, and we're going to be talking a bit more about the podcast. And then season three will be around September October time, where it will be sort of cool down season and just basically there'll be just be news, and that's probably about it.
Yeah, I do think personally, I mean, we talked about it for quite a while. We had a bit back and forth of ideas, and I do think this is probably the best way to structure it because, I mean, they're called display seasons for a reason. So we have some questions to ask each other, just about the podcast and about, uh, just general questions about the podcast, really. Do you want to maybe get us started with a few of them?
Yeah, so, well, my first question. So, why did you sort of say yes? Why did you join me on this podcast? So, because you were the first person I asked, you were the first person I thought of. So, why did you say yes, and why were you interested in joining me on this amazing journey?
Yeah, so aviation's just been something I've been interested in since I was like 5 years old. I went to Blackpool Airshow in like 2013, something like that. Possibly even earlier. I just don't have any pictures of it. Um, but then I've not really done anything regarding aviation until I got into aviation photography and the virtual world, which is where we met.
Yeah,
Um, and I just wanted to sort of like when you came to me with the idea. Um, I think I responded with, "Yeah, why not?" And then after I had responded with that, I sort of thought about it more, and I was like, "This is sort of the best way to sort of bring my knowledge into the real
yeah.
world is to try and tell it to other people and try and uh, entertain and educate other people with it." Um, but it was just a good idea that you brought to me, and um, I just felt it would possibly go.
Yeah, I mean, I said, "Yo, do you want to start a podcast with me?" And you're like, "A podcast?" Like you're like, "What? A podcast?" I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And you're like, "Yeah, why not? Yeah, sure." So yeah, sort of went from there. And when I asked him to start a podcast, we had no way of starting a podcast. We had no website to put the. We had no idea how we were going to post it. Obviously YouTube and that, but we had no way of getting onto like Apple Podcasts, Spotify. So I had to do some digging. I did some research that whole night, and I found RSS.com, which is where we post the podcast now, and puts it out over like 20 different streaming platforms like Apple Podcast, Spotify. I don't know. I don't even know half. I've never heard of like 80% of the websites that it goes on. So yeah, when I first made the idea to him, we had literally zero idea of what we were doing. We had no experience in the field. We didn't know how we were going to post it anywhere other than YouTube. We didn't know how we were going to structure it. Our mics were terrible. Our audio quality was terrible. The cameras were terrible. It was just a very hectic first episode. But it's only been this is episode 13, I believe it is, or 14. So
It's around that.
yeah, so we'll probably put the actual number up on screen now if I can actually remember to find this part of the podcast. But yeah, it was very special finding RSS.com. Big shout out to ChatGPT, the goat who found the website for me, because I didn't know where to look. Half the place you have to pay to do it, but on RSS you can do a full subscription for free, infinite episodes. which is all you really need, really. There's loads of other things that you get, but I don't think we've ever used them. But you can't get paid on it. But it's just like, why would we add ads to the podcast? I mean, I think that just thing is that's what ruins it for me is when you have ads in it. Because you're just trying to have a listen to what these guys are saying, and all you go is Jet2 holiday. Right now, you can get £50 off per person. That's 2 million billion pounds off for a family of 5 billion. You know, it's just like, oh, give it a rest. I'm just trying to listen to the podcast. Or like if you're watching a show on Netflix or Disney or something, you just get an ad halfway through. It's just like what's the point of even watching the show? I can't be bothered to wait a minute and a half just to listen to the damn blimmin' thing. So it's just like, yeah, and it's just not something that we personally need right now. I mean, yeah, again, me and Joey have discussed this, and we thought right now is not the time where we want to incorporate ads at all. So, yeah, Joey, do you have any questions regarding the podcast for me?
Yeah, so it sort of uh, attaches onto your question about why I said yes. It's that why did you like what made you think of starting a podcast, and why did you come to me first of all people?
Well, yeah, so big shout out to the Airshow room because they basically, I saw their promotion on the Instagram. I mean, I don't think they had any likes at the time either. So I don't know. Honestly, that's very lucky that I did get that because if you don't have any likes, it doesn't get boosted out on the algorithm. I don't even know how Instagram works, to be honest. But yeah, I saw their little promo video where they collaborated with Hampshire Air Festival, and I went on to listen to that, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna start a podcast when I get home because this looks awesome and it looks pretty fun. So yeah, big shout out to the Air Showroom, you guys. I know we've spoken to you briefly before through comments and the Instagram DM. So if you are watching, hello and big shout to you. Go check out their podcast page. I believe they have a special guest on. And I'm not going to say who it is at the moment, even though me and Joey know who it is. But I mean, I'm sure it'll be out. Well, I think they have announced it probably by now. I don't really know, but big shout out to them. And then I got home and I was like, podcast. Who are we going to ask? And I went, Joey has been like me and Joey have been talking loads over the last few months before the podcast. I mean, the virtual team was going well, and we were and we were doing that like basically every day. And me and Joey had been discussing like going to Riyadh and all these other air festivals and stuff like Midlands. And I'd asked him a few weeks before we started the podcast if he was going to Midlands or not. So I was like, Joey, seems like the great guy to ask. I mean, he's got the space knowledge and some of the other knowledge that I don't have. Well, I have the air show knowledge and sort of more sort of planes knowledge, and we combine that together, and that makes a brilliant podcast with space, weather, um, aviation, war, and Takeoff Thursday announcements and all that sort of stuff. So you put these our two masterminds together in our own fields, and you get you get a good podcast like that. So that's why I asked Joey because me and him are very good friends, and because he has the knowledge that I don't have, and I have some of the knowledge that he doesn't have.
Yeah, I feel like you have more knowledge in the general aviation field. I have some decent knowledge on the show field because I while I'm an aviation photographer, my main aspect is show photography or military aviation photography. But you have a lot more knowledge in the general aviation field that I just don't have. And when we started this, we didn't even have a space or weather segment. That was my suggestion for the space segment, and I can't remember whose it was for the weather. It was probably a collective because we
Yeah,
were probably watching
I
Ryan
probably
Hall, your
mentioned it to
live
be
stream
fair.
at the
Yeah, I
time.
said
Yeah.
maybe we should add a weather. And
Um,
you're like, yeah, why not?
But it was humble beginnings. We didn't even have promos at the time. We didn't even think of adding promos. The first promo was you just making a video,
By myself.
uh, talking about it by yourself, and I don't think at the time we even had a way of screen recording ourselves. We had someone else in the call at the time. Shout out to Dan. I think we still refer to him as Editor Dan, even though he's not our editor anymore.
Yeah.
But we had him in the call, recording it for us. So he had to put up with us talking in his ear for 2 hours while he sat there recording it. But we eventually figured out OBS and uh, stuff like that. So it was humble beginnings, but we're sort of getting the hang of it now. Hopefully, in the future, I'll have a better camera and maybe even a light here because I know that there's some issues with my lighting, but it's because my light is behind me up there. And as we discussed on the photography episode, um, being backlit just isn't great for definition. It isn't great for quality. So
Yeah, which is why I've
hopefully in
got
the
a
future,
desk light in front of me
yeah,
because this is what my room look, or this is what my camera would look like if it was off. which I think it was like in the
Yeah.
first episode. I just had my curtains open because we used to film it in the daytime around like 1, 2 o'clock, but now we film it at well, yeah, around 7, 8 o'clock. So this is what I would look like if I didn't have a light, because my main light again would be backlit, and because I have a bed here, like my bed is right above me. The light is directly above my bed, meaning it would be no different basically if I had this light on my LEDs on, which is why I have my trusty desk lamp in front of me to keep it, and that's what Joey is hopefully going to be investing in soon.
Yeah, the best I can do at the minute is getting my phone torch and just like shining it there, but then I have a phone torch in my eye the entire
Yeah,
time, and phone torches are extremely bright for the size, and putting one right in front of you for 2 hours straight is probably not a good idea. So hopefully, we've come a long way already, and hopefully in the coming months we'll just progress even further. I know that I already had this mic, which we have the same microphone. Uh, I already had this mic beforehand, um, but you was wondering where to get a better mic. You was using the headset microphone for the first few episodes, and you was wondering where to get a better mic. And I was like, well, I've got a good mic. Do you want to know that? And then I just sent you the Amazon link, and a few days later, he was like, "Oh, I've got
yeah.
a new mic, by the way." Um, so we are progressing. It's not the perfect podcast. We know that. We know there's some issues. We know camera quality is one of them. So hopefully, we can get. Hopefully, actually, I make. I've only just had this idea now, but I make amateur rocketry model rockets that I launch sometimes, and I have this camera to put in it, and it's actually a 4K camera. It's 15 grams. It's a 4K camera, and once I figure out how to get it to work, because it's designed for FPV drones, but it can also do webcam. So maybe by the next episode or one of the future episodes, I could actually be using this thing as a 4K camera. It's just an idea that I've just had. But it will also be put in rockets, so it might just disappear one day because it's been crashed in a rocket into some field somewhere. But it is an idea. I mean, this thing was like £60, so it's not even like it's expensive as well. So maybe if it does work, Ollie could also invest in one or something. But um, it's an idea, and we'll be making advancements in the future.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it was very humble beginnings, and I was recording on Xbox Game Bar on my computer, which is that is that's one way to start. And the fact is, even now, it's not picking up my Discord audio, so it's picking up my raw mic audio, which is sometimes why I sound really quiet in the podcast, and I have to like manually lower Joey, and I have to make myself a bit louder. But even then, that was so. I mean, you could hear every wind gust that came out of my mouth every time I spoke. You could hear individual cricks and crackles from me speaking. And then I moved to OBS, like I said. Well, no, we moved to Dan actually. Dan then recorded our Discord call, and then I think he edited like one episode, and then I just took over from there, just to ensure that the podcast definitely came out on time. And then we moved over to OBS, where I started using this microphone, which even then you could hear me breathing in every episode, even with because it just doesn't have the Discord noise suppression on it or anything. So I switched to this microphone after Joey. Well, I asked Joey, what microphone do you have, and he's like, oh yeah, I got this one, and he sent me the link and everything. So then I got this microphone, and this was the one I've been using ever since. But yeah, it was. Oh, that first episode is. It's very bad. It's very bad. But the fact that we've come this far in just over 3 months is spectacular. Really, we've upped the quality. We've got our own merch. We've got new microphone. Joey's hopefully going to get a new camera or whatever, or put the 4K FPV drone camera on it on. But even then, the camera quality is not even that bad. To be fair, it's just the fact that recording software is just dumb it down anyway, so it doesn't really matter. You could have a 20,000 million K Ultra HD PlayStation 5 million billion K camera quality, and the editing software would make it like 720 or something, 720p. So yeah, but we've come a long way, and it's been a brilliant adventure so far. I mean, I usually edit the podcast after I've got home from work on Sundays, and I edit all the promos. Like I said, we actually did speak for about half an hour on it in one of our other episodes. I think the first episode that we started rambling on about stuff was when we started talking about the podcast and space and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I do the editing, recording, Uh, I probably do other stuff as well. I can't really remember. And Joey does the research and the scripting of the promos. Oh yeah, I make the PowerPoints as well. So um, yeah, it's come a long way, and we're hopefully meeting a lot of people at Midlands Air Festival. Big shout out to them again. Great guys. We've got them on the podcast. Trevor Graham, absolute legend, amazing interview. We do hope you enjoyed that. And we spoke to Claire as well, which is like the PR or director or sort of like behind the scenes sort of stuff, and we spoke to her as well. So, yeah, it was great getting Midlands on, and we do hope you enjoyed that interview. But Joey, what is your hopes for this podcast?
Yeah, I hope, personally hope that it gets out there to more people. Not, I don't care about the numbers. I don't look at them. I know you look at the comments and stuff. I don't even look at the comments. I just accept the
Oh yeah, there's another
what's it
job that
called?
I do. I run the social media accounts and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you run the social media accounts. I accept the what's it called? The collaborator
yeah.
request. And that's
Why is
about
this
the
guy
most I
always
do
inviting
on.
me to collaborations?
Yeah, we have this long running joke. We just act like it's some random
Some
guy
random guy.
inviting,
Yeah, but we
um,
accept it every
but
time.
yeah, we accept it every time, obviously, because why wouldn't you? But we accept that. That's about the extent that I do. I don't. I look at the comments maybe once a month or so. And you get the occasional person being a bit annoying, but that's a given. I've been on the internet for long
Yeah.
enough to be used to that by now.
But we
I
also
know
have
that
some
like
great
Mum was.
comments out there as well, so it's
Yeah,
not
we
all
have some great
negative. And
comments.
as a social media manager, I either just ignore them, delete them, or just reply with a thumbs up emoji because that's just the ultimate rage bait. At the end of the day, you just react with a thumbs up emoji. So, yeah, I mean, we all get hate. Every podcast is going to get hate. Every YouTuber gets hate. It's just something that you have to deal with. It's just not something that phases me or Joey, really.
Yeah, I know that when we first started this, I was telling my mum about it. Um, she was like, she gave me like that talk of you're gonna get hate and just be wary of that. And I was like, I know, I use the internet. I've seen it happen to every single YouTuber I've ever watched. Even like the most harmless of YouTubers, like the Outdoor Boys,
Yeah.
they get hate comments. Like they don't get many hate comments, but they do, and they are like the most wholesome YouTubers I could even think of. So it's just something that happens. We're used to it. Like we've been on the internet for long enough to have had like if you win a game or something, you get
Yeah.
hate from the other team. Um, and I've seen a lot worse than the hate comments we've seen on our TikToks. Just playing games. It's something that we're used to. It's fine, but that's the extent of me. Like with the social media, I don't look at the numbers. I look at the numbers sometimes to say, "Oh, that's cool. We've got 100 followers," or "Oh, that video has got 30,000
Yeah.
views."
Like that Midlands
Why?
one. Yeah.
Yeah, like compared to some of the other videos, why did that one get so many? And then I try and think, how can we uh, sort of educate and interact with as many people as possible by seeing if that one got that many views, what
Yeah.
stood out with. Um, and that's pretty much the extent of what I do. I don't look at the numbers or anything, but that's that's what you do for the podcast. That's what I do for the podcast. I get a lot of the news because Twitter's or X. I still call it Twitter because I'm just
Same. Yeah.
used to it. Um, it's also just weird saying X. It's just a letter in
X.
the
Yeah.
alphabet.
Yeah.
But Twitter is sort of the it's hard to it's like the group chat for the planet. It's the most toxic place in the world, but if
Hmm.
you follow the right people and you like the right posts, your algorithm is basically just news, and mine is mostly just news at this point. There's a few accounts that I follow. I can't remember the names of them exactly, but it's where I get the majority of my aviation news. And then we both collect news. You collect it from Aaron Rains on TikTok. We both put it in the news roundup bit. I get my space news because I follow rocket launches like very, very intensely. Um, Weather news. We both, yeah, we got uh, all the
News
all the
segment
channels.
channels all here. I mean, I don't know if it will
Got
be
news
reversed on the
roundup
podcast, but
segments.
if not, you've got just
Not for me,
news.
so it should be
y-
fine.
You've got
Yeah,
news, war, space, weather, and then in the info or other channel, this is where we put all the announcements. So obviously you've got the Hampshire announcement, you've got the Riat announcement, you've got Global All Stars and stuff. You got the Grippin from last week. So yeah, I mean, you can all see, I'm always the one that puts it in the channel. That's what my job is, putting all the announcements in that channel. So.
Yeah, but I think it's a good balance we've got going. Maybe I could start doing a little bit more. I'd I'm not saying that you should do that, but maybe I should. But yeah, we also message people to maybe see if they can get on the podcast. I know that like we have a list of people to DM, and we've got like which one of us is going to DM them. I have like the space people. We have a mix of the weather and a mix of the aviation people, but um, we also do that. I know that I've been sort of lacking on that one at the minute, but I've been focused on a lot of other things at the minute, but I'll get on that at some point. But I think it's a very good balance we've found, and it will improve in the future. It's not the perfect system,
And
but
I
once
will
again,
be making Joey edit
yeah,
every podcast in the future, you know. But nah,
yeah, that's not happening.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, yeah, it's a decent sort of balance that's going on. I mean, editing the podcast, it's not boring in a sense, but because I have to listen to myself 3 times for like 4 or 5 hours straight, I have to listen to the conversation we are having right now at least twice. So I go through it once, I edit all the things that I need to put in, images, cuts, uh, volume increase or decreases, and then I listen through it again to make sure we haven't got any mistakes because I have done that once and I let a little F word slip in there. Oh dear, that was not very good. I had to take that down and have to re-edit it. But no, that's the only time we've had that, and it's like, oh well. Actually, no, we've had a few incidents before, but we're gonna move past that because that was in the opening weeks of the podcast when I didn't even know how to edit. I was editing on some free software that's not the best. So yeah, I mean, we've been debating contacting Hampshire, but the thing is, we've just feel that it's not very special. Um, doing like 2 or 3 podcasts in the same air show. So we were thinking maybe we do Hampshire, but then obviously the air show room have already done that, which is a great interview. Like I said, go check out their page. No paid partnership or anything, but just make sure to go check out that interview because it was a great interview with Helen Webb, the like marketing director. She's also worked at Riat. But yeah, we were just like, let's stay away from Hampshire for now and maybe go towards Midlands, as that's what we're both going to, and it's also something that no one has done actually. I don't think ever before.
yeah, and I mean, as we've seen, the Airshow Room is now doing an interview with someone, but it does line up sometimes like that, like both interviews at similar times. But Midlands is coming up; it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're great people at Midlands. They responded quick. They were up for it. Yeah, but moving back to the questions for now, you did briefly mention that it's like a lot of effort going through editing them. But did you think it would be as busy and as packed with promos and like possible vlogs? I don't want to say we will be doing vlogs, but we might be doing vlogs, and just editing and stuff like that. Did you think it would be as packed?
I didn't think it'd be as packed as it is because we never started off with promos. We never started off with. I mean, Dan like edited the first like 3 or 4 episodes, so I never thought it'd be this like heavy. But I enjoy recording. I enjoy doing the promos. I like it wastes a lot of time. Well, not like waste time, but it's enjoyable time. It's something that I enjoy doing. So it's something that's good. I get to talk with you even more than we already do. I mean, we're already on a call for 3 hours now, so and that probably got to about 6 by the end. But yeah, it's quite fun. Just not the editing, which is why I do need to get an editor one day when we have the money and the funds for it. But because I'm not a good editor, I honestly I save an image to my downloads, put it on the screen, make sure that it covers our webcams, and basically call it a day because I'm not fancy with all these transitions and edits and crops and all this stuff. I put a picture on the screen so that people can understand what we're talking about, and then I move on to the continue editing the podcast. So, yeah, we do want to get like a good editor one day, but right now we're stuck with me, unfortunately. So,
Yeah, hopefully one day in the future, this is like long term in the future, we'll both like separately record our cameras, and that way it's higher quality.
yeah,
And then whoever's editing at the time can just like put them next to each other, and maybe we have some like graphic around as like our logo and stuff
yeah.
like that. But that's a long term plan for the future. Right now, we're just in a Discord call recording, directly recording where we are. But it's it's gonna improve, like we've said a couple times, but I can't wait to see what future holds. I can't wait to see how this goes. Um, but speaking of what the future holds, Midlands is coming up,
It is,
and
yeah.
something that will likely happen at Midlands, based on what you've told me has already happened. There is a possibility we get recognised, and that's already happened to you once.
It has,
And
yeah.
I would just like to personally know, as someone with social anxiety, that doesn't mean don't come up to us if you see us.
Yeah.
Uh,
Definitely come up to us if you see us.
yeah, come up to us. Yeah, if you see us. I need to get over my social anxiety at some point anyway, so it's a pretty good way to do it. Um, what was it like, being recognised? Was it unusual? Did it feel weird? Was it completely fine?
No, it was actually really special, you know. I mean, I wasn't expecting when I went to Southampton Airport to meet so at the time we had like what 150 odd followers, which is nothing. I mean, okay, I don't say that in a horrible way. I mean, like that's not for a whole country of 70 million, and then like the population of Southampton being what I don't know, like 50,000 or something. I don't really know the population of Southampton, but out of 100 odd followers, one of them being in Southampton at the same time as me was such a special feeling. It's a big shout out to Callum. I know you like all the promos. I know I've messaged you on TikTok on the DisplayLine account. So yeah, big shout out to you. I hope you are watching this. Literally the first guy to recognise us, and he recognised us just from the merch that I was wearing. So again, if you do see our merch like this, I probably show a picture of the back later. Do make sure to come up to us. Me and Joey will be wandering around the showgrounds on the Sunday. I'll be wandering around on the Saturday, probably on my own. So feel free to come up to me. I mean, if you're not watching this, but you will be watching it in the future after Midlands, if you have met me or seen me in my display line merch, please do say hello to us when we go to Riyadh, because we will both be going to Riyadh on the Saturday. I don't know when you're going. Is it the Saturday?
Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So make sure to come up on the Saturday of Riyadh, and then again I'll be there on the Sunday as well. So yeah, make sure you come and say hello to all of us. I mean, my mum will probably be happy to see everyone as well. I mean, she enjoys the podcast because she knows I enjoy it, and I know a lot of other people will be pretty cool. And I actually did get featured on the news as well. I got featured on ITV News. There was a picture of me holding my camera, just looking at the Spitfire as it was taxing, I assume. I don't actually know when they were recording it, but I didn't even see the camera that they was recording me, to be honest. So I mean, I mean, I don't know how these ITV crews and that do it. They just put a camera down and no one notices it. It was yeah, it was quite cool being seen on the news as well. But yeah, being recognised is one of the most awesome things as small creators. You know, there's a lot of effort that goes into the podcast, and we're starting out new, so there's not that many people that will recognize us, but if you do, like I said, I need to stop looking at myself, to be honest. It looks like I'm reading off a script here. If you do see us, please do make sure you come up and say hello. Make sure to grab some merch. I do actually have it here because I was showing Joey it earlier. So we do have these sort of patches to go on like blankets or arms. I might put one on my arm or something. I mean, we've also got like pens to write with, obviously, because what else are you going to do with a pen? We've got our classic display line pen. It's upside down.
I've got some here that we'll be bringing to Midlands as well.
Yeah,
So if you
we
want a
will.
pen,
Yeah.
you can
So
get a
yeah,
pen and everything. Yeah.
we have pens. We have patches. We have quite a few patches. I think there's about 30 of them. Might have to get more before the show. I just sort
I've
of
got them all in my cup.
got the
All
cup.
in
Yeah,
this cup.
got my cup as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
And we also have
The keychain things.
keychains. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. We got some keychains. I don't know why
Yeah.
my camera's lagging. We'll sort that out in a minute. But we will also be taking like pre-orders on jumper and t-shirt as well. So I got my t-shirt on. So this is the t-shirt that we're currently rocking and the drip of. We've also got the hoodie as well. So we will be I was discussing it with my mum, but we probably will take pre-orders and stuff if you pay there. We do bank transfers, but we won't be doing like card machines because I don't even know how that works. Nor do I know where to get one. Nor are we official business. Nor yeah. But yeah, we'll take cash. We'll do bank transfers as well if there's signal. If not, we can give the bank details or whatever, and then get that shipped off as well. So yeah, it's overall it's pretty good, and hopefully, if my mum says yes, we'll be doing pre-orders on the hoodies and the t-shirts. But we will definitely be selling lots of pens, hopefully, lots of patches, lots of keychains, and if we do run out, then we will have to do some pre-orders. But I don't think we're going to run out really. But we will have a table set up all 3 days on the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but down by the slipstream enclosure. I might put it in the slipstream enclosure and then hand it out over the fence. We might put it it outside. Then again, we do just need like some like I'm sure my mum or one of our parents will probably be sat by the table anyway, just to make sure no one steals anything. So yeah, but I mean, couldn't do any of the merch without my mum, obviously. So big shout out to her, like I did last week. She ordered all of it. She made like 90% of it. I helped her make some of the keychains and some of the patches. I think I made all the patches, I believe, other than like two. But yeah, she made all the pens while I was at college. She made a lot of the keychains that we have. So we have miniature ones, which I'll get if I can, obviously. Yeah, here we go. So we have two different size keychains. We have this one, which is the miniature one, and we have this one, which is the big one. I can't remember the prices. It's on my phone somewhere, and we'll have them out for the day. It's not too much. I think it's like £1.50 or something for this one, and like £2.50 for this one. It's nothing like major, but yeah, it's pretty cool that we have merch. I mean, it's not something that I thought we would have this early into the podcast, but I mean, it's something that Midlands Air Festival has graciously let us sell, as we're only doing it on a minor sort of level. We're only selling some pens and some patches. We're not like an official business or anything, but we did ask. We did want to make sure we were allowed to sell it um, before we took it to Midlands Air Festival. We will bring a flag as well, so the whole blimmin' slipstream enclosure is going to be filled with the display line, um, and it's going to be great, I think. But Joey, what are your like main hopes for the future? Obviously, you said some of them, but I mean, what is the main goal sort of at the end of the podcast, or sort of like how long do you want to be doing it for? What's your hopes for the setup in a few years? What's your hopes for vlogging? Sort of these main big events that may be happening.
Yeah, I mean, my personal hopes is that it sort of expands beyond just the Display Line podcast and becomes something of its own, as in the Display Line. I know that, like, that's not confirmed. We haven't even really talked about that, but like doing vlogs and stuff, that's not a podcast episode. We could do like uh mini documentaries or something. We could do all these other things, and my hope is that it becomes something of its own. And we keep the podcast. It is the main
Main,
focus
yeah,
of what we're doing. Yeah, and I hope that for that specifically, obviously long term goal, we could have like an office building or something
yeah.
like an office room, and like do like in person episodes. But even just on like it probably won't be Discord at that point. I don't know what it would be, but it might not be Discord in the future. But like hopefully my room gets rearranged at some point, and like I've got better camera, better lighting. I've got an actual background, so I don't have to blur my entire room. I can have like things on the wall that like our logo or something just behind me whilst we're doing it and stuff like that. And I know that like you'd want a better background as well because right now we're just in our rooms doing this.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get like a
But
green screen or something to put behind. I
yeah,
mean, Discord does give some like basic backgrounds. I mean, I think my Discord might crash if I change my background, but obviously on here we've got some of these. I show it off on here, so But well, we want to have some sort of display line behind us, obviously, to because we're the display line and everything. But I mean, I can go to a little island. I mean, it's probably gonna crash. Oh, there we go. Like I'm on a little island right here.
it did like a little bit.
Just yeah, just a little bit, but I mean, look, we're on an island. We got I don't use that Wumpus or something. I think
Yeah, Oneplus, yeah,
yeah.
that's the Discord mascot.
So we're on Wumpus Island right now. I mean, somewhere in America, chilling
Mm.
out here with Wumpus behind my chair. He's just I mean, you can't really see him, but he's sunbathing over here. He's having a chill time. He's got his margaritas and his cocktails and everything. But
Mm.
yeah, hopefully, like Joey said, we are going to be in a studio, an office sort of studio at some point in the future, and we're gonna have our own little room, like all those big podcast does for like the Sidemen and all that, where they have 50 million cameras set up, then a 360 panorama view around them. But you mentioned mini documentaries though, which is something that I sort of promoted the idea of doing some sort of documentary. So we every sort of 10 episodes, so every sort of milestone in um, our podcasting episode journey, we do want to be doing some sort of special episode. Now, we don't want this to always be interviews, because we have had Alf on, who works down at Duxford, and we have had Trevor Graham on from Midlands. But we do also want to do some things like mini documentaries, so talking about a specific aircraft, adding some footage of that aircraft, and sort of dedicating the podcast to a very Netflix style documentary. You were talking about a Starship documentary that you watched the other day with your tutor, and that's something that we sort of want to do on the podcast. But yeah, I do agree with you there, Joey, when you said that you just want it to become a generic The Display Line rather than the Display Line podcast, where we do vlogs, blogs. Um, what is it, documentaries and in-person events and other things like that. So yeah, but we're thinking more, 2, 3 years in the future when me and Joey can meet up and we can actually do podcast episodes together in the same room rather than on a Discord call because the quality just isn't that amazing, really.
Yeah, we are, what is it, like 6 hours away from each
Six
other,
or
so it's
seven,
not like we
yeah.
can just yeah, it's not like we can just get a train. Um, you threw me off there with the, I'm too brain rotted nowadays, to be honest, but,
It's something funny, or
uh no, no, it's fine. But yeah, we are way too far away from each other to do in-person things unless it's an air show, like a big
yeah,
event that we can convince our parents to take us to. I mean, it took some convincing to get my parents to agree to Midlands. Um, I mean, when we were doing the first episodes, I'm pretty sure you mentioned Midlands, and I was like, I'm not going to Midlands.
yeah.
But over some time, I
I'm
managed
going
to
to
convince them.
Midlands.
Yeah, that, yeah, I
It
managed
was
to
definitely
convince
the
them
MiG though.
to.
You said the MiG 17. You got your
Yeah,
dad
it was the
because
MiG
it's
that
yeah,
got him, yeah, because my dad would love to see that. He's a big fan of the fighter jets, and to see something from the Cold War era is just not something you see every day. I mean, I know that it's attending quite a lot of air shows this year actually, around the UK, but um, I've personally not seen it. Going to Blackpool Air Show every year, you get your regular attendees, but you don't get the MiG-17, you don't get like
yeah.
the F-86, you don't get these, as I think Trevor said, big ticket items.
Yeah, I mean it's one of the coolest aircraft that I've ever seen. I've seen the MiG 15 before at Dunsfold Wings and Wheels 2015. I don't know, some time at Dunsfold Wings and Wheels, which unfortunately I don't remember because I was like 5. And if I have children, I'm going to tell them remember every air show we go to in the future. So if you start your own podcast, you can share these stories because the only story that I can really remember from Dunsfold, other than 2014, was again, I don't even know what year it was, but there was this P-40 Warhawk that went one year, and it was hidden behind. You could see like the front end of it. You could see like the propeller and like slightly the slight bit of the engine. And me and my mum, we were like, "Oh yeah, what plane is this going to be? What aircraft do you think this is going to be?" So we waited for the entire day, like for 5 odd hours or 4 or 5 hours for this aircraft to come out and do its display. And then obviously we found out it's the P-40, and it was I don't know, it was a very awesome display to be honest. It was I remember it going up, doing some victory rolls and barrel rolls, and I don't know what P-40 it was. It might be one that I've seen again. It might not be, but there was a lot of aircraft at Dunsfold that I haven't seen since. So yeah, Dunsfold was a very special air show, and unfortunately, it won't ever be happening again.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different aircraft that I'd love to see. I know that you briefly touched on like your like what you remember from growing up going to air shows. I think the only real main memory that I have that is like not going to happen again is seeing the Avro
Yeah,
Vulcan, like things like Blackpool Air Show. And it's just such an incredible aircraft. I know that when it stopped, my dad was devastated because he loved the
I
the
loved it
the
as well.
sheer
Yeah,
like raw power you can hear in that thing. That's why he loves the Typhoon. He loves like the raw power you hear out of those engines. And it's just a shame that they're not going to be flying anymore. But there is things like the one at Carlisle. Forget what it's called, but it's at Carlisle. I think it's Aviation
yeah.
Restoration Program. But uh, they just do taxi runs. Unfortunately, there's no flying airworthy model anymore. But going back to sort of the questions we have, you did ask me this, and I actually didn't actually answer it. It was how long do you want the podcast to last for? And I didn't really answer that, but my answer to that would have just been it can't go on forever. Um, like
Well,
if we just
physically,
go on
yeah.
and talk for like 80, yeah, if we go on for like 80 years, we're just gonna be old guys talking about planes.
Which
and
people love, we might
the
get
point is
billions of subscribers. We might not get a single subscriber until we're 80 when we're old blokes, and then we suddenly get millions of subscribers because I know old guys usually get quite a lot of followers when they start talking. So I mean, hopefully we'll go on forever. I mean, the only reason why I can see us stopping is a huge technical issue, the end of the world as we know it, or somehow me and Joey just aren't friends anymore, which I just don't see happening anytime soon.
yeah, we're basically the same person. I mean, there's a reason that in our virtual Red Arrows thing we are synchro. Like we say that every time because
Yeah,
like
we
we
always
always like
say stuff together.
say
We
the
always
same thing.
say the
Yeah,
same thing.
which
We
you just did it.
yeah
Yeah.
we say the same thing when we go. Oh, that's what they call a synchro, or we'll play. We'll um I can't remember some examples. You see, this is what I hate. You just you go, oh yeah, so this is what it is, and you go, wait, where's the examples gone? We say it like 3 times a day or whatever. But yeah, we'll finish each other's sentences. We'll say the same thing at the same time. It could be like the most random topic that neither of us know of, and then we'll just say the same thing randomly. But when we're doing the synchro training for the Red Arrows, we are just so in time. It's like we're just connected. What is it like? Scientific, like
Telepathy.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just like with that just good at just connecting each other's sentences and being very synchronized and stuff like that. But yeah, I do hope that the
Mm.
podcast goes on for a long time, and me and Joey, we stay away from political stuff on the podcast, but outside of it we do discuss politics sometimes.
But like you said, we try to steer out of politics. We talk about it in our own time. We
Yeah.
have discussions about it because we both have different views on certain things, and we enjoy debating about it sometimes. Um, but yeah, we just apart from that, we're basically the exact same person. We're both into photography. We're both into aviation.
Yeah.
You're somewhat into space. We're both into weather. We both uh, play the same games. We both now seen Avatar as well. We've both seen the
Oh
same
yes.
movie.
That was
Yeah,
so good.
you made me
I
watch
got to show
Avatar, and
Avatar
that was
to him
yeah,
in exchange for watching Stranger Things or whatever. So, yeah. But
yeah.
then the website that we watched on got burned down. The building that we watched the last Avatar movie on. Apparently, the servers got burned to the ground. Unfortunately. So, yeah, that was great. At least we watched it while we could. But yeah, now I can't watch Avatar 3 until Disney release it. Sometime in the next 10 million years. But yeah, we watching Avatar 4, and obviously Joey will show me more of Stranger Things when Avatar 4 comes out. And secretly, Joey definitely likes Avatar because he asked me to put it on
All
while I was
right.
watching it. He asked me to put it on while I was watching it. So I can tell that he definitely likes it. The reason, Joey, do you want to actually explain the reason why? I know we're getting so off topic here, and we'll get back on topic soon. But
Mm,
I mean, this sort of links into science and all that and space and stuff in a way because Pandora is set in what is it, Alpha Centauri and around one of the gas giants and
yeah.
that. But Joey, do you want to explain why spaceology and scientificology? Do you want to explain why you thought you wouldn't like Avatar?
It's not that I thought I wouldn't like it. It's just not my kind of show. Because I personally, and I know this is going to sound wrong because, like I said earlier, Stranger Things is something that I watch.
Oh yeah.
But I prefer shows that are based more into realism than not. And I know Stranger Things isn't exactly the best example, but
That's what I
there is
said.
floating islands. Yeah, there's floating islands and dragons in Avatar, whereas not saying it's a bad show, it's just my kind of show is more set well, it's set on Earth is a good start for a realistic show, but that can be more explained with science, and as much as Stranger Things isn't like, it's a sci-fi show, it's based on a real CIA program. Everything that it's based on well, not everything, but, like, what the start of it is based on is a real CIA program. It's a real, uh I don't wanna say local myth or legend, but it basically is. It's, Montauk, New York is what it's based on, and the real local legend of Montauk, New York, and the Montauk Project was that this, monster escaped the lab after doing some telepathy tests.
So after a little brief discussion in between recording, we have decided that we've got a bit too off topic here, and we'll have this conversation after the podcast is or the recording is over. But yeah, Joey, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, so you asked me this and you talked a little bit about it yourself. You like sort of added on to what I was saying. But what are your hopes for the future of this podcast that are like maybe something that you didn't mention, or um, maybe something that I didn't mention?
Well, to be honest, my hopes are pretty much the same as your hopes. To be honest, I just hope that we just get a bit more popular, and not for fame, not for money, because again, you don't get money on YouTube till you're at like 10 million views per video. We just want to share our passion and love for aviation and space and weather, and allow further understanding into the industries that me and Joey are interested in. Because a lot of podcasts these days do it for the money that they're in it for like the sidemen and all that sort of stuff. If they did a podcast, they'd be purely in it for the money, not because they really care. Nothing toward towards the sidemen, but they have
They
millions,
do.
and they do have a millions of
It's a subscriber only thing, but I think they do a podcast on the on an app called like Side Plus, which you have to pay for.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So
That's what I'm saying.
there you go.
They do
Yeah.
it. They do it for the money and stuff, and rather, when me and Joey just do it for our love that we have for the industry that we're in. So maybe one day we might make money just off YouTube or maybe off RSS or whatever. But you need like thousands and millions of views to even make any money at all. So yeah, it's just I just hope that we can get bigger, and we can just spread our podcast around the world. I know there's probably a few people in like America and stuff who listen to us as well, but yeah, I mean, we just have to convey to people on the promos that this is the podcast, not the 30-second promo videos that we put on the Instagram and the TikTok. So yeah, that's just my main hope, is that people come to the actual podcast rather than watching it on TikTok and liking it and commenting instead, and they actually come to this bit instead.
Yeah, that is something that we had to make an entire promo video dedicated to, is that people aren't quite realizing that the videos on Instagram and TikTok are promo videos, even though we say it at the end, like we say the next episode and then say whatever that week's Sunday is. Um, some people maybe don't watch to the end, like the very end. Um, and I know we got a comment saying that was a short podcast, which I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure was just someone messing with us. But um, yeah, that's one of the main things we have to figure out. I've been trying to think of ways of more explicitly showing that those are promos, but I'm still working on it. Trying to think of different ways, like we could put a graphic up on the screen or something saying promo or something like that. But I've been trying to think of ways of doing
Yeah.
it. But um, in the future, hopefully that'll be more refined of a process. Like it'll be very easy to see their promos. More people will know to go to YouTube, and then those people that know about it on YouTube can reply to the people who don't know on TikTok and Instagram, instead of us having to reply to every single one. And maybe hopefully some other people will be on board with that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just don't really know what to do. I mean, in the last, in the Friday's promo, which you guys would have seen by now, I did mention in the middle of it rather than as well as the end, that this is specifically a promo video. But yeah, we do hope that people do. I mean, people, we have got like 4 subscribers since the last podcast. We're now on 18, and then last week we are on like 14 or something like, or 16, I think. So we have got a few more subscribers over the last few weeks. So hopefully people are now realizing that this is the main podcast, and the ones we post on TikTok and Instagram are promo videos promoting this podcast. But yeah, there's a few comments that I do need to. Well, I do reply to. So asking if this is the promo, saying that the promos are short or whatever, or like what websites we post the main podcast on. So yeah, we are getting a bit more traction now, and a lot of our videos are actually getting over 1,000 views on TikTok, which is quite a milestone for us.
Yeah, it's actually overtaken. I remember when it did, I was talking to you. I think I was on a call with you at the time when I noticed it, but it's overtaken my photography, which is sort
Yeah,
of my main thing. Like I know that this is now my main thing because it's what I'm more known for. Not that I'm like known
yeah,
person, but what more people know me for is this. But photography is what I started out doing, and I remember one of my, I think it was Blackpool show posts got like 8,000 views, and I was buzzing with that. And then I think one of the first promos that we both did together got like
yeah,
30,000, and I was like, I spent 1,000 plus pounds on my camera, and this 30-second video that we recorded, which took us maybe 10 minutes to set up,
yeah.
got 3 times the views. I was fuming, but, long term, it's definitely beneficial that that's getting more views because not only will it push the podcast further, it will also push our photography further as well
Yeah,
because people will find us
recognize
through
us.
this
Yeah.
and then go to the photography as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's at 32.8K the last time I checked the video that you're talking about, which is the Midlands Exciting Announcement promo, which you'll see on the cover. We might put a picture up on the screen, I don't really know. It just depends if I can find the video. We've done like 50 promos by now. I think it's like coming up to 60 promos. So, yeah, but the first promo I did, like we mentioned earlier in the podcast, was just me sat there on my phone talking about the MiG 17 going to Midlands. But I find the podcast easier to record than the promos because the promos are scripted. This is not scripted. That we have, like I said, we have 2, 3 slides of information that we can base it off of, and that then the rest is just generic yap and stuff like that. But with the promos, we have changed the format recently, actually. But you have to like remember what you're gonna say, and it takes us like 30 minutes just to record one of them. Sometimes it's just oh honestly. But the first one I took to record it took me 15 minutes of different cuts on my phone, and I had to like go into CapCut and then put them all together and edit them out and all that sort of stuff, and that was so bad. And then I suggested the idea to Joey, maybe he does one, and then I do one, and then he does one, and then we decided that we'll just do one together, and then we just did one together.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the promos format has changed. I don't know if it's noticeable in the videos, but as opposed to scripting every single word that we're gonna say, it's now got each person's name. We go back and forth to try and keep us like saying the same amount of stuff in each promo. And instead of saying exactly what you're gonna say, it has little note on what you're talking about in each line, sort of thing. So instead of saying like Takeoff Thursday week 14 is here, with 3 new flying displays being announced and 12 new stacks being
So
announced.
yeah,
It's now
this is the old
yeah,
format. So obviously you'd have me saying hello, and then you have Joey with a bit more, and then me saying this whole line. It might be flipped. If it's not flipped, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. You can sort of tell the difference. It's a very noticeable difference. So yeah, this is the old format, a complete scripted podcast. And then if we got up to the latest one that we filmed, it's literally like nothing. It is literally very basic information. I mean, it goes Ollie intro and that. Joey, last few days, several funnels spotted in UK, and then obviously, and this is like what 30. Well, this would be about 10 seconds of speech, and we put it into about a 40 second promo video. So yeah, we got a lot of complaints that the promos felt really scripted, so we decided to listen to the feedback and we changed the format so that technically they're not scripted.
I do think most of the, negative feedback on that was that people thought they were the entire podcast,
Yeah,
being scripted because they didn't quite realize it was promos, and I think it is pretty common practice to somewhat script promos. Maybe it's more common practice in doing it the way we do it now, in that we have little notes on each line of what to say. Like, instead of saying the whole line,
yeah,
like you showed there, it's just like, "Take off Thursday, week 14, 3 static, 1 flying." As opposed to an entire line that I have to say, and it's a lot quicker for the outro, which I have my own little format in that for the intro, and I put intro in that, and for the outro, I've been doing this the entire time, it's just outro in it. But I've been doing that the entire time, and that's what the, bit where you talk about the merch and
yeah.
that, like, the entire time we've been doing promos, that bit's been unscripted.
Yeah, if you do want any
Um,
merch, by the
which
way, don't
yeah.
don't just don't think you have to come up to us at air shows or whatever. We will be doing it online. Obviously, you will unfortunately have to pay the delivery fees because we're not that rich, unfortunately. But if you do want any merch, please do not be afraid to message us on Instagram or TikTok. I'm sure we'll probably make some sort of like Snapchat account or WhatsApp, like a new number or something. I don't know to message if that's how you want to do it. But that's maybe something for the future. But for now, just message us on the Instagram or the TikTok, give us your details and stuff. And if you do want any merch, please feel free to let us know. But yeah, we think. Do you have any other questions, Joey? If not, then we can move on to our last segment.
It's not necessarily I mean, I suppose it is a question, it's just something I've come up with as you were saying, "Do I have any other questions?" But we have briefly mentioned it in other episodes, especially talking about weather, but the potential storm chasing that me and you might be doing in the future, which is gonna be in, like, 3 or 4 years' time. It's not like a very soon thing.
Yeah,
But would you expect this to be going up on the display line thing called like the display line go storm chasing or
that's
something, or
the
would this be going
exact
up on our
title I
personal
was
account?
thinking of. That is
Yeah,
see, this is what I mean when I say synchro. This I was thinking when he mentioned storm chasing. I said I was picturing the podcast channel with the display line go storm chasing dot 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 in full capital letters, and us just in like Avengers car or sort of Joseph's car, or truck, or I don't even know what he has or whatever, but just going around. I mean,
it's like a big SUV.
yeah, or we just get our own. We'd hire a car or something. I don't know. Hopefully, in the future, we'll get some good gear and go storm chasing and get some more vlogs like that. But yeah, hopefully that answers and clears up all clarification around the podcast. We thought this would be a great episode to do it in, as it is season 2 now of the Displayline podcast, which I've got to make sure I've changed on the RSS because otherwise it would put in season 1 episode 13, but now it needs to be season 2 episode 1. Oh, that's gonna get confusing.
Yeah, I'll
um,
remind you. I'll remind you.
yeah, but yeah,
Brings
we
me on
hope.
to, I guess I don't even know how to phrase it. It's not really a question. I suppose it is a question. Like, since we're going into season 2, is anything going to change? We didn't really mention that. It is season 2 now, different season, but is anything
Yes.
going to actually be different?
Well, what I do want to mention on that actually is the fact that me and Joey had a brand new competition randomly, got nothing to do with the podcast in the slightest, but I thought we'd mention it as a seasons. We do this really stupid challenge, and we pick 3 1 hour of silence, occasionally interrupted by a random sound, and we put them up against each other. We choose 3 each with the gnome in the middle. We put the gnome in the middle, and he occasionally goes off on one. But then we just see who's 3 say all theirs before the other person. It's a bit stupid, but I mean, we are going on to season 2 of that soon. After no, we're on like season 50 of that. I swear, I don't know. We're on
Yeah.
some stupidly high season because every game is a new season. Don't ask. But
Yeah, it's some random game we ended up
yeah.
making ourselves. Yeah.
But right now, me and Joey are currently in discussion of what to change. Whether that be formats of what we do. We're obviously thinking of different middle sections to put in, so the main focus of the podcast. We're also, if you couldn't tell, adding new features to the background. I know Joey's got a blurred background, but I took that off because I mean, you can only see my wardrobe and that, but sometimes you can occasionally see Joey's dad walk in or his brother walk past, or
Yeah,
um,
that's my door right there, which is it's actually closed. I think on the first few episodes it was open,
yeah,
but outside of my bedroom door is the top of the stairs, and there is 6 people who live in my house, and they're all going up and down the stairs all day long. So I've now started closing the door because you just see like a bit of blur
yeah,
moving around in the background. Sometimes you see my cat because that's actually my bed. It's hard to tell. Well, it's not really hard to tell. That's my bed, and I think like 2 or 3 different cats sleep up there depending on how they're feeling, and one of them gets off by climbing off this bit instead of going to the windowsill over there, which is a much easier way down. Uh, my cat Luna just decides to go up here, which is some drawers, and then jump off the entire thing, which is easily probably 2 meters tall. But cats, they're used to that. So, but yeah, there is a few episodes where you can see a white blur jumping off this bit, and that's my cat Luna. Um, but yeah, at some point in the future, I hope to have a better background. Like my wall is there, right behind my laptop, so I'm hoping that and my desk is here, and I'm hoping that one day in the future, um, my desk will be turned a different way, and I can get some things on the wall behind me, and I don't have to blur my background anymore.
yeah. I mean,
But
this
yeah,
used to
that's just
be over
thoughts for
there.
the
You
future.
might have seen it in previous.
Yeah,
I can't do this reversed. It used to be here, and then I just took it over here and put it up. Well, you can't see it, but there's 3 shelves. So you've got that one, and then that one is going on the top one. But yeah, I've changed the backgrounds. We are getting a new mascot probably after Midlands at this point, I assume. But right now we've got these
yeah,
pretty cool little ducks that I got at Midlands last year. So we've got Blackjack. We've got I don't know, like 3 squadron type. I don't know the different squadrons of Typhoon, and we have Moggy as well. So yeah, we got those little ducks as the background for now. But we are adjusting the backgrounds and making them look a lot more exciting. But like I said, we can go to the Wumper Island and all that, and yeah, but.
mm,
I don't have any other questions. We do hope that clarifies all queries, questions, and concerns around the podcast. And what we might be doing is like the air showroom do, take little sections from the podcast and put it on the TikTok and Instagram, so people realise that that's actually a good shout. That's what we could do to make it so the promos and the podcast are two different recognizing things. So there we go. But we do need to move on to Take Off Thursday announcements. So Joey, we
Yeah.
have quite a special announcement this week, and this after many weeks of hoping for some sort of unique display. I think this one has taken the crowd by some surprise. Now, it's not the most interesting fast jet, blimmin' F5 billion stealth fighter jet that you can't even see with your own eyes. It is none other than the Krila Orloje from the Croatian Air Force that use six PC-9M aircraft. Now, Joey, you've been researching a lot about these over the last, well, few hours, really. I was going to say a few days, but it only came out at 12 today. But you've been researching these over the last few hours, so you have a lot more facts than I do.
Yeah, so their name, yeah, I think you pronounced it as best as any of us are going to pronounce it. Means, I believe it's like Wings of Storm. Yeah, Wings of Storm. Just had to check them. They are the official Croatian Air Force aerobatics display team, so similar to our Red Arrows. But they use PC-9M aircraft, and they display with six planes. They used to display with five until around 2009, where they switched to six. They did their first public flight in 2004, which was a year after they officially started, which presumably during that year they were training. And they did that first public flight at the open ceremony of the European Sailing Championships, which is a fairly unique thing to do your first ever display or flyby at. But they got their name from a police and military sort of operation, is where they got the Alluge from, which presumably means storm. I would assume the Krilla means wings of. But that's where they got part of their name from. They fly very close. You see the red arrows are flying a couple of meters apart. These guys are also flying just 2 meters apart, and sometimes even less than that, at speeds of up to 550 kilometers an hour, which I don't have the exact conversion of, but if I had to sort of estimate, is 300 and something miles an hour, knowing just generic conversion rates. So it's relatively quick. It's not quite as quick as the Red Arrows, who fly up to speeds in excess of 500 miles an hour. But for a propeller aircraft, that's quite quick. But it's certainly a display that I haven't seen before. They first attended RIAT at 2016, which was their debut, and they haven't been since. So it's been 10 years since they have been at RIAT, and 10 years ago was their first ever time at RIAT. So it's a welcome return. I know that a lot of people were very, very happy. I looked through the Instagram replies. Some people weren't too pleased because they were expecting more than one flying display
Like
announcement,
me,
but
to be honest,
it's
because
yeah.
we're getting close to the show now, with only, well, 2 months, really, isn't it? Pretty much 2 months now. So we only have probably about 6 or 7 announcements left, to be honest. Maybe even not that. And we've got 14 flying displays now, which is. I mean, usually we have upwards of 20, 25 in total. So they've still got to pull out at least another 6 to 10, if not more, with not including special fly pass. You know, they don't usually say about the special fly pass until the actual day. So, I mean, looking at this, there's going to be fly pass all day. But what we're hoping for is the Greek Phantom, Greek F4 Phantom flying, which there's rumours of it going. We don't know if it's fully confirmed or not. It's not. When it's not something that we're going to get too excited about until it is officially announced. We also know there's the Black Cat or the Wildcats or whatever they're called, Black Cat display team, and the Spanish F-18 going that's self-confirmed. But other than that, we don't know of any other aircraft that will be attending. But yeah, they're pretty cool aircraft. They can pull upwards of 6 Gs and negative 2.5 Gs, which we've spoken about Gs thousands of times before on this podcast. We've gone through them in many detail, and that is in episodes, I think around episode 5 to 6 or something. It's in one of the earlier episodes. So
Yeah, and like we've said many times, that the G numbers that you'll see on, say, the Wikipedia page, it's not quite 100% the limits. While it says officially they pull upwards of 6 Gs, they're probably sometimes pulling 7. But Um, that it is a certainly a unique aircraft, and I personally can't wait to get so many good pictures of their display.
Yeah, so we also have four other static announcements for this week, as always. Actually, we do want to clarify. Actually, just quickly, I forgot to. I'll probably actually add this into the start, but um, when we talk about we spoke about Static Saturday last week and calling the show very static based. It got very misinterpreted, and obviously there's going to be more statics in flying. We definitely understand that. That's not what we meant. What we meant is the fact that there's been more just static announcements than flying display. As in, there has been what 13 or 14 flying announcements, but there's been like 16 static announcements. You would at least expect one flying announcement each week and one static announcement or two static announcements that go along with it, rather than just weeks of just static announcements. What we meant is pages, like the four aircraft page of statics rather than just statics. Obviously, we know that there is like a 4-to-1 conversion rate of statics to flying aircraft, but um, it got very misinterpreted by a few people that I know. So we just wanted to clarify that up before we move on. But yeah, the statics for this week is a C-130 and a CC-150 Polaris from the Royal Canadian Air Force. We also have a Typhoon from Germany with a beautiful blue livery and an F-35B Lightning from the RAF. So that pretty much sums up that there'll be no F-35 display at RIAT this year.
Yeah, I personally can't wait for the just to see that Typhoon with that blue livery. I mean, I saw it get announced that they had that livery before it got announced for RIAT, and I even said to you, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
you
that
did. Yeah.
I really hope that goes to RIAT. And while it's not going to be flying, I believe it's I forget what they're called, but the something Tigers from Germany. Um, and they were there last year as a static. I got some pictures of them on the ground. It might be the Bavarian Tigers or something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that. Yeah.
Um, but their livery usually is incredible anyway. But this blue one is it's one of the
Yeah.
best Typhoon liveries I've ever seen. I would put it up there with something like Blackjack. You know, it's Blackjack's my favorite aircraft of all time. Aircraft plus livery combination is my favorite single aircraft of all time, and I would put this new livery for the Bavarian Tigers. It might not be Bavarian Tigers. I think it's Bavarian Tigers is the name. Um, but I would put that up there as a close second. It's such a good livery, and I cannot wait to get some pictures of it.
Yeah, but we're going to move on because we don't have much time and we've been recording for upwards of 2 hours again. We have Little Gransden with the Global Stars that are based there, where they use four extra family aircraft, including the extra 270, 300, and 330. I believe there's two 300s, one 270, and one 330. They are based at Little Gransden Aerodrome themselves, so they're basically self confirmed every single year. And that's the second announcement after the RAF Typhoon, so it's already looking to be a great show. And we also have Hampshire with the OV-10 Bronco, which is a Vietnam light attack and reconnaissance aircraft, and it is very famous for the footage of an F-16 shooting one down. Now, I have no idea what country that Bronco is flying for. I'm assuming it'll probably be like Brazil or Colombia, Venezuela. It'll be somewhere around South America. But the aircraft was made in 1965 around the Vietnam War. Like I said, it was used for light attack and reconnaissance, and the demo team itself was formed in 2010 by a team of enthusiasts.
Yeah, I wish I was going to Hampshire because the OB-10 sounds like such a unique aircraft to get pictures of. I mean, it's I've seen that footage of the F-16 shooting one down, and I didn't know it was the OB-10 at the time, but knowing that, it makes me want to see this thing even more.
Yeah,
But unfortunately, I'm not going to Hampshire this year. But maybe next year, who knows?
well, I'll be driving by
So far
then,
my
so
airshow
yeah.
list, yeah, so far my airshow list this year is just looking like Midlands, Riyadh, Southport, and Blackpool. Which actually, there is a bit of airshow news about Blackpool in that I'm not entirely sure if this has been confirmed or not. It depends how much you trust the Red Arrows Facebook group, which doesn't sound like a trustworthy source, but they are usually incredibly accurate. Um, Apparently, the Red Arrows aren't attending Blackpool Airshow this year. This isn't confirmed, um, but I did hear rumours of this like a few months ago, and now it's looking more and more likely as the days go on. But it's also looking like Southport is getting the Red Arrows, So at least one of the air shows close to me is getting the red arrows. But Blackpool, if it is true, I don't remember the last time the Red Arrows didn't attend Blackpool. That's what most people go to Blackpool Airshow to see. So at the very least, it'll be a nice, quiet event
Yeah.
to go to. Not too crowded. But it is Blackpool, so it's going to be crowded anyway. It is a tourist destination for some reason. But yeah, I feel like as though everyone who lives near Blackpool doesn't get why it's a tourist destination, but it's good for its air show. I'll give it that. I know you went last year for the
Yeah.
first time and possibly one of the last times because it's just way too far to travel for Blackpool Air Show, but it's a good air show, but without the red arrows, I'm just interested to see what they can put in to replace it and still bring that many people. But once again, that's not confirmed, so we'll see. And if we get confirmation, we will let you know.
So, do you want to take us through our 2 minute brief recap of what we went through in this episode?
Yeah, so we went through the news starting with the war news, which was a massive segment of a whole lot of nothing. We then went on to the weather segment with the tornado in Turkey and the tornado in the sort of Dust Devil twins in Mexico. We then talked about the Indian guy that got sort of, I don't want to say thrown, but he did kind of get thrown by his roof. But luckily he was okay. We then went on to space news, talking about the Starship wet dress rehearsal, and a little bit about that. And sort of to add on to that, whilst we've been recording this, something about a road closure has been delayed by like a day, so it's looking like it could be pushed back even further from the 19th. Hopefully not. Hopefully I'm wrong on that, but it's looking like it could be pushed further back. We talked about the rocket fuel dump of the Chinese rocket that flew like it was in like a polar orbit and went over America and did a fuel dump. Um, we talked about the I can't remember which one we talked about first, but in no particular order, we talked about the Turkish Airlines Airbus A330 getting evacuated at Kathmandu Airport due to smoke in the landing gear. We talked about the man that passed away due to being sort of struck by a plane on the runway. We talked about the T-38 crash from the US Air Force. We talked about the dashcam video of the C-150 um, nearly hitting a car. We talked about the pilots of the Bolivian C-130 getting arrested after that video of them coming in recklessly to land, which unfortunately resulted in many casualties. We then talked about the podcast as a whole. We moved on to the main bit, and we talked about um, what we are hoping for the future, what season two even means. We talked about, like we just answered each other's questions about what we are hoping for personally. Why, podcast? Why me? Um, we talked about um, why we added weather segment, a space news segment. It was just because I'm interested in that. We then moved on to the Takeoff Thursday announcement, which had the Croatian display team and the four static aircraft, two being from the Canadian Air Force, one being from the German Air Force, and one being from the RAF. And then we moved on to the Little Gransden announcement with the Global Stars and the Hampshire announcement for the OB10 Broncos. So it's been a relatively packed week in terms of news and somewhat packed in terms of airshow announcements. But the main segment, I think, is it's just one of the easiest ones for us to talk about because we get to ask each other
Yeah.
questions and we get to talk about this. We get to talk about what we're hoping for this and what we're thinking about in the future. So it's been one of my personal favorites. I know I said that last episode, but if I had a top five list, there'd be no particular order, but this would be easily in the top five. I know that's like half of the episodes
Yeah.
already, but like if there was a top five, this would be in that top five.
Yeah, so that is all the time we have for this week. It's been about 2 hours, pretty much on the dot. So we do hope you enjoy, everyone, and we will see you next week with the promo videos, and then whatever happens to be the subject of next week's podcast episode. We really do hope you enjoy, and we really hope you did enjoy, and we will see you next week as our final, I believe it will be, podcast before Midlands Air Festival. So there won't be a podcast for Midlands Air Festival, but the next week or the week after that will be the final week before Midlands. So if we don't see you before, if you don't get to tune in next week, we will hopefully see you at Midlands, if not after. So take care, everyone, and we will see you later.